Hey, this is Kiran from the Sparking Entrepreneur Show, and today we have Eric Simpson with us. With over 8 years of experience in customer success, business operation, and project management, Eric is passionate about delivering a world class customer experience, improving and maintaining the efficiency and effectiveness of process and leading change. Today, he is here with us to educate us on how to build a life you have always wanted. So, with that said, let's welcome our today's guest, Eric Simpson. Eric, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Kiran. Happy to be here.
Very curious to speak with you today. And let's begin with your journey. Tell us about what got you started as a coach.
Yeah, so what got me started as a coach, I actually stumbled across coaching when I was 17 years old. I went to like an info session at my local public library, and I was just like, this is it. This is what I want to do. And took all that information home, set it down, and did nothing with it. Just went to college, got the first job I could out of, after graduating, and just kind of like went the corporate path.
Mm,
Um, fast forward, another 17 plus years, and
mm,
I hired my very first coach. And it
mm,
was in that sort of like working with this person weekly for 4 months that I was just like, I remember that moment from 17 years ago. And I could
mm.
see all of these moments across my career where I was coaching people, my peers and whatnot, in the corporate world. And I was just like, yep, this is what I want to do. So went to a certification program, started just chipping away at it.
Yes. And what great story that you have over there. Like it all began and you knew it that this is the thing and you finally here you are. Let's speak about the client success stories. In these years, you may have had so many success stories that you are really proud of. If there is any one that sticks on the top of the mind, please share it with us.
Yeah, um I was working with an entrepreneur who has their own, you know, coaching business themselves. Um, and they were really stuck on all of these. I'm a business owner. I should do this. I should do this. I should. Like they had this list of like shoulds, and I could tell it was really weighing them down. They couldn't move forward. They were really struggling. All these shoulds were things that they didn't really want to do, didn't have the skill set to do. And it was one of those things where we just worked together to sort of remove all of those things. You don't need to, you don't need to have a website. You really don't. It can be helpful, but if you are really good at what you're doing, you don't need to build a website. Let's take that off the list. You don't need to do this. You don't need to do that. And it was just a process of taking all of these shoulds off of their plate that allowed them to all of a sudden have that smile again and that passion and that spark of like, yes, this is exactly what I want to do. We're moving forward. They really had, just a shine to them, once we were able to kind of work through all of those things. It was such a cool process.
It sure was. And if you can remember any like tips that you particularly used on that person, like how did you let that person start from point A and let them be at the point B, which is their goal. So what was the systems in if there were any?
Yeah, I mean, everybody's going to be different. It's like I have a tool set of different things that we pull out. One of them that we did was what's called an energy audit, which is basically a T chart. On one side, it's, the things that you write, all the things that give you energy and give you life. On the other side, it's all the things that drain you of energy that you're doing. And it's just identifying, okay, are the shoulds that you're feeling in this case on the energize or the drain side? And if it's on the drain side, let's remove it. How can you just remove it, delegate it, delay it, whatever it is, so you can focus on all the things that give you life, give you energy, because those are the things that are going to propel you forward.
Hmm. let's speak about mindset a little bit. Like the mindset, what kind of mindset do you think does attract success? Is there a thing called attracting success? And if there is, what kind of mindset shall we use?
Yeah, I think there is definitely a mindset that attracts success. And I think
Mhm,
really one of the things that comes to mind is curiosity.
mhm,
Are you a curious person? Like, do you have the ability to ask questions, dig in just a little bit, and be like, why is that the way it is? Versus
mhm,
kind of letting things kind of stay status quo,
mhm,
and just sort of coast. The other one that I see is courage.
mhm,
So when you dig in, having the courage to say like, okay, we've got to take a big step. We've got to move forward. We've got to step into the unknown. Being curious and being courageous are two things that I think make up the mindset of somebody who is very successful.
yes, staying curious and being courageous to take the actions that your curiosity brought about.
Yeah.
If we were to speak about the way of building a life you always wanted, right? So that's what the tagline is. If I'm not wrong, then tell us about how to build a life that we always wanted, because everybody seems to want it.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that it's really hard to answer, to be honest, because every person that I've worked with is in a different place, is going towards a different thing. So like the exact intricate details are very, very unique and individual and customized. Um, but I think, you know, there are a couple of things that, come into mind that are consistent across all of these people. And I think courage and curiosity are definitely high on that list. I
Mm,
think to be successful in building a life that you want, you have to be courageous.
mm,
So much of today's society and today's world says go to college, get a job, get a master's degree. It's like these are all things that I did. I went to college, I got a job, I moved up in the corporate world, I went and got my MBA. And all of these things didn't bring me any kind of like fulfillment or feeling of success. It
mm,
wasn't until I started to say, like, okay, what is it that I want? Being really curious about my wants, my needs, and digging into those and saying, is the path I'm on going to get me to those things?
mm,
And it's like, no. And it was stepping into coaching, it was stepping into building a business, it was all the things that I didn't think that I was ever going to do. And
mm,
so taking that courage, taking those steps. So honestly, I think those two things are synonymous with success and building the life that you want. You have to be deeply curious about yourself, deeply honest with where you're at and where you want to go, and then be courageous to take the steps needed to get there, because sometimes the steps needed to get there require a lot of courage.
It sure does. Eric, you know it. So let's speak about the things that you feel are misconceptions about coaching.
Honestly, it was one of the things that I had when I hired my first coach, is that coaching is too expensive. I can't afford it. Now, there are coaches out there that will, you can pay by the hour and, whatnot. And you might be a little bit hard on your budget, but um, it's kind of one of those things where it's like you get what you pay for.
Mm,
Um, and that's not to say that I'm the most expensive person out there. It's definitely not. But the the cost, not really the cost, but like coaching is actually just an investment in yourself. So if you invest $5,000 to work with somebody, 10,000, whatever the cost is, you are going to get far more than $5,000, $10,000 out of it. One of the coaches that I've trained with, in a group setting, if you were to work with him one-on-one for a year, it's close to $200,000 to work with him one-on-one. And he takes 3 clients a year.
Mm.
And so like that is a huge investment. But the people who do that see tenfold outcome in their investment.
Mm.
And so that's one of the misconceptions that I've had to break in myself, is just like, I can't afford it. When in reality is you can't afford not to.
Mm.
If you really want to be successful, if you really want to build the life that you want, you need to invest in a coach.
It's a need than a want. So you can put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, Eric, next question. Now people are quite curious about ways of reaching out to you. So please tell the ways of reaching out to you, whether it is your website, email, or anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Best way to get a hold of me is through my website. I know I said, you don't always have to have a website, but I do. And so it's ericsimpsoncoaching.com. So that's ERIC Simpson, like the TV show, coaching.com. And there's buttons to get in touch with me there. And, that's the best way
Yeah.
for me. Yeah.
Yes, so do reach out, guys. Next question to you, Eric, is about transformation. How does transformation happen? Does it has to happen like rapidly? Should we always be relentless towards that success? Or would it happen like in a way that you are able to have work-life balance? So transformation in case of entrepreneurial success.
Yeah, transformation. I see it. It's kind of like I would describe it kind of like a hockey stick curve, where it feels very flat. It feels very like not a lot is happening,
Mm.
and then all of a sudden you'll hit a point, and things will tip up, and it's just then
Mm.
exponentially it grows from there.
Mm.
One of my friends and fellow coaches that I've worked with, he used this analogy with me. It's kind of like if you've ever seen like the world's strongman competition, where these just big muscular dudes are like trying to outlift each other. But one of the competitions is pulling a semi truck, basically pulling 80,000 pounds worth of vehicle by yourself. And the process to get that started is just 1,000 tiny steps. If you watch them, they're just basically just churning their feet as fast as possible, and they're not going anywhere.
Mm.
And then all of a sudden you break the inertia, you break the stability of that truck, and it starts to move. And then all of a sudden the steps become longer and they become slower. And then all of a sudden you've built momentum, and you're now all of a sudden you're close to running. And so
Mm.
transformation is the process of sticking with those 1,000 tiny steps, connecting the next dot, not feeling like you're moving forward, not feeling like anything's happening. And then all of a sudden one day, bam, it just happens.
Wow, what a wonderful way of defining the transformational process. Now we are at the end of the podcast, so I want you to at least give our listeners a way of taking the next few steps so that they are on the right track. So, what would the action steps be?
Yeah. So really the action steps would be, you know, what is it that you really want out of this life?
Mm.
Define that. Is it financial freedom? Is it getting to become moving up to become a CEO of a company? Is it, starting a family? Whatever it is, what is the end goal? What is the 25 years down the road thing that you want? And then you got to work backwards. What are the steps that you need to do to get to that point?
Mm.
And then once you have that map, you can start to say, okay, if I want to become the CEO of Google, as an example, how do I get there? What is the very first step that I need to do to become the CEO of Google? What is the next step that I need to do to start my own business? What is it's just sort of the process of like, and this is my project management history coming out, is like, what is the next milestone? What is the thing that I have to do to move the thing forward?
Mm.
And that's really what it is like, that's what I recommend to everybody. It's just like, okay, what's the 25-year goal? Now what do you have to do today to get there?
As simple as that, guys. First, just know what the end is, and then walk back to what you want to do next, and then next, and slowly you would lead towards that success that you initially desired. So, thank you so much, Eric, for being such a kind and generous guest. It was a pleasure to meet you today, and an honor to be able to host you.
Yeah, it was an honor to be here. I appreciate it so much, Kiran.
Thank you again. I am your host, Kiran Agrahar, signing off for the day. You guys take care. Bye, guys.